Life for All presents Daily Food Series Galatians, the Only Gospel, the Gospel of Christ. Title of Book 4, Whatever a Man sows, that he will also reap, by Pedro. Week 2, The Works of the Flesh and the Fruit of the Spirit. Saturday, the first fruit of the Spirit, love. Read with prayer. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, longsuffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. As we have already said, the Galatians were under the harassment of the Judaizers, who wanted to bring them back to the practice of the law. The law is on the same level as the flesh, since both exist in the earthly sphere. However, God wants to take us to the sphere of the Spirit, which is another dimension, the place where He is. Therefore, it was easy to discern that these Judaizers were false teachers because the fruit of their teaching did not go beyond the earthly level. The result of the Judaizers' work is also seen in Galatians. By practicing the law, the church became full of jealousy, competition, criticism, slander, and verbal assaults. Chapter 5, verse 15. The Galatians were biting, devouring, and destroying one another. Nevertheless, if they had lived in the Spirit, as Paul had recommended from the beginning, the result would be to serve one another in love and to love their neighbor. These are two trees with two different kinds of fruit. No grapes come from a thorn bush. The Galatians were in the tree that produced quote-unquote thorns. If they were in the tree of the Spirit, the first fruit produced would be love. The flesh produces works. The Spirit produces fruit. Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 and 23. It is a matter of life. The Spirit works with life and gives life. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 45. The last Adam became the Spirit, who gives life, and life produces fruit. Moreover, the nature of God's life is love itself. 1 John chapter 4, verse 8 and verse 16. It is difficult to define love because love is God Himself. The Lord is a God that gives, a giving God. The Son of God is God Himself, who gave Himself and laid down His life for us. On account of sin, He could no longer grant us His full care, but He loved us and gave Himself for us. The Son of God came to us, died, and rose again so that we might live through Christ, to leave the life of sin, the law, and the flesh. This is the love of God. If the Lord gave His life for us, this life we receive through His death and resurrection has the nature of God, who is love. In the love of God is contained the faculty of giving oneself. If we give ourselves for the saints, we lay down our lives for them. 1 John chapter 3, verse 16. This is impossible for the natural man, but through the life of God, it is possible because the love of God is a matter of giving. Therefore, when the church lives in the Spirit, the result is this love, which is a matter of mutual giving. When we are experiencing this environment of mutual giving, and people from outside enter in our midst, they become astonished, not understanding how we can receive them in such a loving and welcoming way. This environment exists only in the church and is unexplainable. Once, we hired a professional to install an air conditioning system. He was a heavy smoker, but said he did not understand why, when he was among us, he did not feel the urge to smoke. He even asked if we had some kind of spray in the air that suppressed this desire. This environment is the environment of love. It is not an artificially manufactured love, but the love that comes from God to those who live in the Spirit. The word that comes from the mouth of God leads us to think the same way. From it flows life and love and produces unity among us. Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Even though we have work fronts in many countries, when people come into contact with us, they testify that we all think the same thing and have the same goal. This is wonderful. In this environment filled with the Spirit, there is no rivalry or competition between the church services, nor is there any vainglory. Here, everyone works with humility, esteeming others better than themselves. This environment exists only among those who live in the Spirit. May we live more and more in the Spirit, so that this wonderful atmosphere is always among us.